Dallas Krishnan, MD Enterprise India and Australia, Coursera. So we know when we talk about Coursera, Coursera partners with more than 200 leading universities and companies to bring flexible, affordable, job-relevant online learning to individuals and organizations worldwide. And I like their vision. It says that we envision a world where anyone, anywhere has the power to transform their lives through learning. And who better than Dallas Krishnan, MD Enterprise India and Australia Coursera, to share the vision of Coursera and how Coursera is making a difference in the online learning ecosystem in India and world over. Over to you, Dallas.
Thank you. Thank you, Shouvik. And first and foremost, I must thank Professor Ramarao sir and Colonel Venkat. It's always difficult to follow such eminent speakers. First and foremost, amazing thoughts from Professor Ramarao, and then, of course, from Colonel, in terms of talking about how the enabling policy conditions have now been created in this country in terms of transforming the entire education and getting us back to that old glory when education emanated from this country, right? So really amazing thoughts. At times, I believe, I finished my higher education sometime in the early 90s, and I actually envy the students of today for the sheer amount of change in the way the pedagogy and the teaching and the changes that the regulators are trying to bring in bringing higher quality education to students. So absolutely amazing work done by AICTE, UGC, and of course, professors like Professor Ramarao. Shouvik, I just wanted to check if Prabhakar could bring the slides up, otherwise I could try one more time. Yeah, thank you. So if you can get to the next slide, I'll just cover a few perspectives and then come back into the panel. Both of you spoke about how COVID, while it has been a tragedy, right, it still is a tragedy. It's, we just, as a country, all of us as individuals, humans, have come through some of the most tragic times in the past couple of months. But at the same time, that the last year has also been an opportunity as well, where in many ways it's also given an opportunity for the world to come back and see how can we make this world a more equitable, and sustainable world in many dimensions. Education is one of them. I know healthcare is another area. So there are many areas where the globe needs to come together. Technology has the power of enabling that equitability and sustainability of how these sectors can transform. If you can get to the next slide, please, Prabhakar. So this is a WEF perspective, and we talk about, they talk about 5 drivers of social mobility, right? Education and work are probably at the center of it. But some of the other enabling aspects are, of course, technology, overall health, and institutions. When we mean institutions, it's institutions like the universities, institutions like the AICTE, which create that enabling conditions in creating this aspect of education work that allows for greater social mobility, right? In the last year, we know how technology has enabled education, right? And Professor Ramarao clearly spoke about new capabilities being created in our students as well as our teaching community, right? These are new capabilities which we wouldn't have probably accelerated at the level, the way it happened in the last 12 months. It also has a divide, as much as he spoke about, but it also talks about the opportunity of what we could do to make leveraging of the technology and making education more impactful. The other part of this is also an opportunity in the context of work, right? And if you get to the next slide, I just wanted to talk through that. What we are seeing around social mobility globally is technology is starting to impact the entry-level jobs, especially the low-skill jobs, right? So these are the traditional jobs like waiters and cashiers, and you can retail sales. There is a lot of technology coming in there, right? Corporations, companies, institutions, everybody will adopt technology, with 4G moving on to becoming 5G. Technology is only going to get more and more rapid. As that happens, what we will see is automation coming into these low-end jobs, low-skill jobs. And that requires a much bigger imperative on all of us to start looking at how do we create this new space, this set of workforce to be transformed, leveraging, giving them the right tools, right? In that, what role can technology play, aligning them to the right areas of knowledge, which can then create a workforce which is equally employed, right? So this social mobility is another one which actually will increase the overall wages, right? So these, as the low-end jobs get automated by technology, the need for upskilling, reskilling will also create a social mobility of people picking up new skills, higher end skills, and that higher end skills will create higher wages and higher GDP income per individual, right? So thereby creating an overall social mobility for the country. Coming to the next slide, please. So this is the statistics that we with again WEF had published. This was in late last year, where they spoke about 84% of the employers are reporting that the pandemic has increased their intent to digitize work processes. And I spent 27 years of my life in technology, and this is my first year in education, and I know what the kind of work that is going on, especially the last year. It has been a rapid adoption of technology in the context of enabling work from anywhere, right? In this very similar way, while we need to make education enabled anywhere, right? Education has two very important dimensions: the dimension of affordability. Everybody needs to be able to afford high quality education, and second, which Professor Ramarao spoke about, is in the context of accessibility, right? The kind of programs AICTE, UGC is doing in the context of global, bringing in high, MOOCs to be integrated, creating the platforms like SWAYAM and NPTEL, and of course opening up the entire education platform for the world to come in and create a higher level of infrastructure and pedagogy that is available. So these are, I think, great enabling factors that, I feel our country is in a situation where we probably are ready for the next huge leapfrog that we can do in the context of education. Coming to the next slide, please. So we keep doing a lot of analysis in terms of what kind of skills that are going on, and especially in digital skills. You will see there are 5 broad areas that World Economic Forum talks about, and a lot of them around data and AI. At the same time, the implication of that in the context of how consumers' behaviors is going to change, and that will require a completely newer set of skills to be required, right? Be it like digital marketing, strategy specialists who are embedded in technology, and then of course the entire context of automation will require process automation specialists. So there is a new set of roles and jobs that will get created. There's another one. This is from Microsoft, where they studied there are about 150 million jobs that are going to create it, as you can see, in certain technology areas. But this is a huge opportunity for a country that we are, right, where we have always had a strength in technology. This is a massive opportunity for our education ecosystem and our employer ecosystem to transform existing workforce and in our education systems to create a completely new workforce that is ready to take these global jobs. Right? Coming to the next slide, please. So if you see this is the reality, right? And this was just a study that published recently by NASSCOM, which said India's demand for digital talent jobs is 8 times higher than the fresh talent pool. And this demand is expected to become 20 times larger by 2024. What this tells us is the sheer opportunity in the context of bringing in higher end education, higher digital talent in our workforce. And as we create that, there is a ready demand that is already sitting there, right? So the enabling factors that the institutions through the NEP is enabling will be a huge opportunity for all of us. Coming to the next slide, please. So the way we foresee this, right? We see there's 3 pillars to this entire transformation in the context of creating a lifelong learning ecosystem, right? One is, of course, the learners, right? On our platform, we have about 82 plus million learners, but that's a minuscule number when we think of the potential that we can do in our country. The second, of course, is educators, and the third is institutions, right? And this triangle of these 3, they come together in enabling higher end education, top end education at the same time, and impactful education. Institutions and corporations want their students to be ready for jobs. Educators are constantly looking for partnership with institutions so that they know what the institutions and companies are wanting, so that their education can constantly keep up to it. And learners need to be at the center of this, because they are the ones who create that either be it a professional learner or be it an early stage, college graduate who's looking at his first job. If they have the right set of skills by way of this visibility of this knowledge, you have a right ecosystem for us to grow, right? So we look at this as a great ecosystem uh, in the context of learners, the education, and the institutions. Around here, one of the key role that we know the government plays is in the context of policy, in the context of reskilling, in the context of constant investments in the economy that allows for this to be, keep in shape. Coming to the next slide, please. So globally, we have, the way I look at this is education is always needs to be borderless, right? In the context of wherever there is the best of the best, that should come in to our country, to the student, irrespective of where the learner is, be it creating amazing content out of our institutions in India and taking it to the world, and very similarly, the latest and the greatest of technology that is emerging that can come to our student and learning community so that they can create and innovate for our country, right? And solve problems for our society. So it's a great ecosystem. So like knowledge needs to be borderless, right? And that is a great opportunity that technology and platforms allow for us. Coming to the next slide. So this is where we see a role that we play as Coursera. The employer side expectations in terms of low gestation period in the context of by the time he graduates and he becomes a productive resource. They want people to be as ready as possible. They want people to be ready with emerging skills. They want the skills to be credentialed in the sense that that when somebody says he has a skill in something, it is validated and credentialed so that it means readiness. And then, of course, people come with ready and practical exposure so that they've done some hands-on work outside of the pedagogy that the universities and educationists provide, right? Can they get an industry exposure so they have the right amount of practical exposure? That makes them more ready, right? Similarly, from the academic aspiration side, we see the context of constantly looking at the curriculum and then reinventing that curriculum, which aligns to what the industry needs, creating a student portfolio that who are enhanced and ready for placements. And then, of course, they constantly look for partnerships with industry in creating new innovative technologies in terms of research, where the application of learning can create some new possibilities, right? And last but not the least, all this wouldn't happen if our faculty, which is at the core of education, is constantly are not upskilled. So we see that coming together in a platform architecture. Coursera is one of them, right? We don't say that we are the only one who create this. This is where the technology players like us have a role to play in this country and to enable this ecosystem to come closer, the gaps to be reduced, and then the impact to be higher. Shovik, if you get to the next one, please. So the way I would close this is the opportunity for us is in India is to get the world-class content that comes out anywhere in the world to be created and to be provided to our students. It doesn't matter whether it is coming from outside, it doesn't matter whether it is coming from our institutions, right? So, but you create an ecosystem where the topmost of content is available to our students so that they have access to the best quality education. It doesn't matter which part of the city, which city he lives in. It doesn't matter which small town he's studying in. He should have access to world-class content for him to get into a lifelong learning, a self-learning context. Second, of course, private authoring, right? As we create a platform, the platform should also give the opportunity for new educationists to create their content, their point of view, that can then reach out to this entire ecosystem. So while we bring content, we also bring the ability of our faculty, our top teachers, our top schools to start creating their content that becomes available to their students and then have the opportunity to take it to the world, right? Combine that with a hands-on learning platform where within the platform, people don't have to create huge infrastructure. The emergence of technologies of cloud and virtual desktops have created that very low cost, absolutely, there is no new environment required. Sitting in a browser, they can do hands-on work and simulations that allows them to learn new skills. And then, of course, the constant need to create job-ready skills, and then a platform that allows to work in a scale like India that is required, right? So this is what we see as our vision for India, where this is what we as Coursera are trying to work with the ecosystem here, and create our impact in collaboration with the policymakers and with educationists. So look forward to that, and thank you so much, Shavik, for giving the opportunity here.
Thank you so much, that is Krishnan, MD Enterprise India and Australia Coursera, for wonderfully uh, informing us what kind of vision Coursera has for imparting digital education for the future-ready skilled workforce, especially in the new world order. You talked about that data which you talked about, that demand for digital talent will grow almost 20x by 2024, and that's a huge opportunity. You talked about the COVID situation. Obviously, it's a very tough situation for us, all of us worldwide, but it has also brought opportunity. In this, I'll just take one cue from what Honorable Prime Minister has always says, that he always believed that challenge is opportunity, transforming challenges into opportunity. And you talked about creating that ecosystem where universities or institutions coming together for the for making this future ready skill workforce through digital interventions. Again, I'll refer Honorable Prime Minister. His famous quote is IT plus IT is equal to IT. That is, information technology plus Indian talent is India tomorrow. And I think that India tomorrow, coupled with technological advancement, that time has come, and India has leapfrog. If you see in the last 1.5 years, especially in the education sector, in the tech sector, the way India's leapfrog, maybe it would have taken 5 years, 10 years down the line to go to that level where India's come in last 1.5 years during the pandemic, with the focus on digital innovation and building that skilled workforce. I know long way to go, but that momentum has started. Thank you so much, Dallas, for sharing with us with your thoughts, and